Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty in the Frizz. My name is Cara. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me for another one today. Today we are doing a roundup. I'm going to be talking about everything that I tried in March, whether new or old. If that sounds good to you, keep on watching this video. Let me know what you think, and if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to hang out with someone that feels the same way, definitely consider joining the community. I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. How are you? I am hoping that whatever time you're watching this video, that it finds you well. I cannot believe it is already April and we are just trucking right along in 2023. So I'm going to talk about everything that I tried from base products, and I saved the eyeshadow palettes for last. I have quite a few fragrances that I tried this month, but I'm thinking that should be a separate video. So I do want to start incorporating some of that because I am trying to discover my little scent profile and I'm having a good time doing that. So I would like to do a separate video for the fragrances that I tried in March. So let's start with complexion products. All right, the first one is the Glow Recipe Strawberry BHA Pore Smooth Blur Drops. Now, this unfortunately is going to be returning because, y'all, I just did not read carefully. I just saw Glow Recipe and I just was thinking, oh, this is going to give me glowy skin, but this is actually a blurring, mattifying makeup primer, and it does exactly what it says it's going to do. It's just that I don't care to be matte. For someone who likes matte skin, I think this is a really great product, and the strawberry smell isn't overwhelming or anything like that, but it does have to go back to the store. Now this primer is just about had it, if you can see. This is my Tatcha Silk Sunscreen Mineral Shield Primer. I'll probably repurchase this for VIB. I've had this for quite some time, and it's like a serum sunscreen with niacinamide. They used to have another one that was more like a cream, but they don't make that anymore. I was looking for it, but this is SPF 50, and I do find that it really does look nice under my makeup. I don't have like a white cast or anything like that, so I'm gonna probably just continue to keep using this one. Another primer that I pulled out was the Good Molecules Silicone-Free Priming Moisturizer, and I was just using this kind of instead of my facial moisturizer. I like to try a lot of different skincare things, especially things that I've accumulated from BoxyCharm when I was a member and Trend Mood boxes. So I'm just making sure I go through all of these products. Now this one has shea butter, macadamia seed oil, and a plant-derived silicone alternative to hydrate, smooth, and nourish the skin. So this is a primer that I'm working with now, and I don't think I've really come across like a bad primer. My #1 favorite is the Natasha Denona Hygiene, and that's because of how glowy it is, but I pretty much can use any primer. I just don't want anything matte. That's the only issue I had with the Glow Recipe one. So I'm gonna continue using this. Now, this one doesn't have any sunscreen in it, so I might just like mix it with the Tatcha sunscreen primer. All right, so I do have some other complexion products here. Let's start with something new that I've been using, and this is the Ole Henriksen Banana Bright Vitamin CC Stick. And I did talk about in my purchase or pass video that I was kind of interested in this. It's an under eye brightener. And like I said, I have banana. So I have been using this with a sponge, and I put it on my under eyes before my concealer, and it just wakes your eye up a little bit, and it looks really, really nice under the concealer. So I have that, and I have a NARS color corrector, but I kind of like this. I think my under eye looks good, so I am going to continue using this one. I would recommend this if you're looking for an under eye brightener, and I've been using it all month. I also have a concealer here, and this one is not new. This is the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Concealer. I don't think I'm a fan of this one, but I think it's because the color's not exactly right. I have the shade Cookie Dough. I think maybe if it was a little darker, I don't know, I don't know. I just didn't like it. I feel like it was too ashy, like too brightening under here. And I like more of a skin tone concealer. So I don't know if I'm gonna actually finish this. I mean, I could maybe mix it, but I was wondering why I didn't grab for this. But now that I use my Dior one all the time, I really like how my under eye looks with the Dior concealer. But now that I use the Dior all the time and it's my skin tone, I realize that I really don't like this color on me. So I might just make this an empty, or I might see if I can mix it with something else. Now I have two foundations that I use a lot in the month of March. First, we have the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Foundation Stick. Now this is the shade Baklava 340G, but if I repurchase this one, I think I'm gonna get Butter Pecan. This color is a little off, but it works once I blend it out. I just think there was a better match. And you can see right here, even on my hand, that it's even a little dark for my hand. So it's definitely deep on my face. And I'm not sure if the undertone is exactly right, because I know this one, I want to say maybe golden. And I think I need more of a neutral undertone foundation. So I do think I'm going to repurchase this one, because look, I'm almost done. But as I continue to use it and use it, maybe this was a shade that worked better for me in the summer months, but right now it's a bit deep. So I'm going to continue to use it and finish it, but my repurchase might be the 330 neutral shade. I also have the Westman Atelier Vital Skin Foundation Stick, and I kind of forgot I had this for a while, but I did purchase this from Macari, because you know Westman Atelier is definitely pricey. So I think this is shade number 8, and this one is a pretty good match. That's this one right here. So I really like the finish of this one as well. And again, you know, sometimes picking these out online can be really tough to find your match exactly. But I really like this. I've just been really into the stick foundations lately because I haven't been using a whole lot. And I love the finish and the coverage. I just love how skin-like both of these foundation sticks are. So I'm glad that I pulled them out to use this month. Now, usually for powder, I've been using my Tatcha loose powder, but I also have the Rare Beauty setting powder in light medium, and I think this might be my favorite one. The Tatcha was my favorite too, but I've had this for so long, and I'm like, Cara, you need to use your stuff. So again, this is a light medium tone, and I think it looks great on my skin. It's not cakey, and I'm trying to think, because when I came home, usually if I film when I come home, I usually touch up my makeup. But lately, I haven't been having to do that. And I don't know if it's a combination of things. It could be the powder. It could be the setting spray I'm going to talk to you all about. It could be the concealer. I don't know. But I've been going strong with this one. Now, I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning. This is the Kiehl's Creamy Eye Treatment with Avocado. So I'm almost through this. This was in my advent calendar. I am not a fan of this under makeup because it goes on really patchy. Like, it's thick, but when you smooth it out, it's very, very patchy. And I don't think that's gonna work well underneath makeup, but this is one that I will use at night. So I'm not going to repurchase this one. I actually repurchased the, it's like the multi-zone eye cream. I just purchased that because it was 25% off, which is going to be better than what Sephora is going to be able to offer. So this is not going to be a repurchase, but it is good for like nighttime. I wouldn't put it under my makeup. All right, and last but not least, with base and complexion, we've got the Cali Ray Surf Proof Setting Spray. Clean, hydrating, and long wear. And I really do feel like it does the job. I was using the Charlotte Tilbury. I've used the Hourglass Veil, but I don't know. It might be the mister on here that gives this one a leg up, because it's just so, I don't know if you can see it, but it's so light. So like, it is just so light. And I love that. This one's been holding my makeup very well, and I will probably repurchase this one once I'm done with my setting sprays. And lastly, I have a drugstore brow product. This is, I actually ordered the wrong one. This is the Maybelline Tattoo Studio Brow Pencil. And I just got this, and look how far down it is. Like, it does not last long at all. So this is not a repurchase. I actually meant to purchase the micro brow pencil with the very, very thin tip. And this is what I got by mistake. So now we're gonna get into blush, bronzer, and highlight. I wanna start off with two products from Skin Glass Beauty. This is the original Skin Glass. And I've decided that I don't like this. This is the product that they were saying Natasha Denona had copied off of, but they're actually two different products. So this is the OG Skin Glass, and you can see it right there. So this one has a gold tint. Now you can mix this with foundation. You can wear it on its own. I don't think I'm a fan of this, and let me just see if I'm remembering why. I remember saying to myself, yes, there's like some specks of glitter in this that I just don't like. And it's not overly glittery, but it's enough for me where I'm like, I don't like a glittery glisten on the skin. A glittery glisten, yes. I don't think I like that. And so it's gonna be really hard to pick up here, but what's left is like a glittery glisten, and I don't like that. So I've decided that I don't like this. Now the cream blush I have here in the shade Spicy, and I do like this cream blush. I think it really looks nice on your skin, and it works well with whatever makeup I'm wearing at the time. I've been using a sponge to, you know, help blend it out. So that's what it looks like. I do know that this brand just released some bronzers that looked really, really nice. But yeah, this blush is really pretty. So that's Spicy. I don't know if you would consider that kind of a terracotta shade, but it's nice. I like this one a lot. Just don't really like the Skin Glass, the highlighter. Continuing on, I have these four blushes from House Labs. I have the Pomelo Peach, the Watermelon Bliss, the Hibiscus Haze, and the Dragon Fruit Days. And I like all of them. What I love about these blushes is that they are highly pigmented in the pan, but they are buildable, so you don't have to worry about like, are you gonna look like a clown? Like, you can just build it up to the level that you want. So with these two colors, these are like bolder. These are not colors I wear every day, but you can make them every day. The two that I tend to go for are the Pomelo Peach. I would say this is the one that I've worn the most, and then the Hibiscus Haze. So if you're looking for like a everyday type blush, I think these two will really do it. And then if you want something a little more bold, the other colors, I don't have the last one. I can't remember what it's called. It's like acai something. Those are gonna be your bolder colors. But I think that a lot of different skin tones are going to be able to use these blushes because you can build them up. Also for blush, I have this incandescent blush from Tom Ford that I had purchased some time ago from the CCO, and it's a Skin Illuminating Powder Duo. So you have a shimmery blush, and then you also have the highlight that goes with it. And you know, these are really pricey, but I know I got this for half off. So I'm glad to still be using it. And it's definitely a lot of product in here. So I'm happy to have this. I'm happy I brought it out and used it in the month of March. I have a coral blush from Chanel. This is called Blush Comet, and it used to have a like star and then the CC you could see like in the reflection, but I've definitely worn that off, and I just love this coral peachy color. Is it a special blush color? Not really. You just saw that I have the Pomelo Peach. You know, I do have blush dupes in my collection, but I do like this blush and I like the formulation, and I'm damn sure gonna keep using it because of how much it costs. And then to round up blush, I have two face palettes. I have the Hourglass Tiger palette, which was from Holiday 2022. I still do go for this one a lot. I think this was a very unique palette for Hourglass as far as the colors, like the orange type blushes. And you can use this as eyeshadow. I can use this one as a face palette because even though this one's a setting powder, it's deep enough to be a bronzer on me. So I really like this, and I'm excited to pull this out, especially with summer coming up. It just gives you like that bronzy type vibe if you like that, and I really go for that look. So I love that. And then my Charlotte Tilbury Beautifying Face Palette. This is the medium deep, and this is what I said I was going to use instead of purchasing the Chanel blush quad. And I'm actually glad that I stayed strong. I did get to see the Chanel blush quad in person, but I think I like this better, so I'm glad I went with my gut feeling. I love this peachy blush right here, and the red one and the two highlighters are really smooth. So I really didn't have a need to purchase the one from Chanel at all. Next for blush, I have the Westman Atelier blush. This is called Baby Cheeks Blush. This one's in the shade Petal, which is another everyday cream blush color. I would say more on the cool side. So I brought that one out, another Macari purchase. And that's going to take us into bronzer and highlight. So first I have this bronzer from Milk Makeup. It's the Bionic bronzer. And I actually don't like this. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I think what I don't like about this bronzer is that it is a bit runny. I don't think I like the formula of it. And that's why I don't think I reach for it. So I'm probably going to make this an empty because I'm too old for things to just be subpar. I mean, it might be how I'm using it, but it's just not something I reach for or ever want to use. Next, I have the LYS Cream Bronzer, and this is in the shade Harmony. And I love this. I love blending this out with a sponge. It's very skin-like, and I love how it feels. I love the tone of it. I like how it makes my skin look. So this is one that I have been going for when I do wear bronzer. I haven't been wearing bronzer consistently in the month of March, but when I do, this is pretty much the one that I've been going for. Ooh, I have one thing that I forgot. Let me grab it. Before we move to the highlighter that I was using in March, I wanted to share that I also pulled out the D-Bronze Anti-Pollution Sunshine Drops from Drunk Elephant. Now, I like this one because it's sheer. It's something that I can wear if I'm not wearing foundation, and it's gonna look good, and it looks good on top of foundation, but you see how sheer it is. So I really like that. I like this finish, and you can see it's not as runny as the Milk bronzer. Just something about this that I like over this Milk bronzer, which I don't know. It's something about this, like even the consistency, it's kind of greasy and runny. And this one's not like that. Like this one's already drying down, has like a tackiness to it. So this one's good. This one's not gonna show up on everybody though. This shows up on me because I'm a lighter medium shade, but it would be nice to see these in some different colors that'll work on more people. All right, and to round out blush, bronzer, and highlighter, we're gonna end with oldie but goodie, which is the Fenty Beauty highlighter, Kilowatt Foil highlighter in the shade Sandcastle and Minted Mojito. This is just an oldie but goodie. It's one of my favorite highlighters. They're very smooth. Some of the Fenty highlighters can be a little glittery, so I like that this one doesn't have like that glitter in it. It's just very smooth. I really still love this, and I cherish all of my things from Fenty because we're not getting any music. So I am glad to pull this one out and still, you know, remember it in my collection. That lets me know it's a standout for me. So that's going to be it, I believe, for blush, bronzer, and highlighter. So we are going to round up this roundup with the eyeshadow palettes. Oh, and lips. Eyeshadow palettes and lips. Let's do lips. I don't have a whole lot. So this one was a major fail. This is the K-Skin Isle Lip Balm with SPF 30. This tore my lips apart, and they are still somewhat recovering. My lips were burning, blistering. I have never tried a lip sunscreen before, so I'm not sure if it was the sunscreen, the combination of ingredients in this particular sunscreen, but it definitely makes me concerned about trying any lip sunscreens. But it was definitely this. I had Tyrone try it on, and his were burning as well. I know some people don't have a reaction from this product, so I'm not sure, but this definitely has to be returned. So I don't have any of my Dior Addict lip shines. Those probably go without saying, you guys, that I wear those all the time, especially the shade Patchwork. That's my favorite one. So that's probably in my purse. But I did pull out my Merit lip oil, and this one is, what shade is this? Taupe. I love this. This is just an everyday lip product for me. And with my lips having that reaction to the K skin, it was just nice to have like a hydrating lip oil on. I actually have 2 of these that were gifted by the brand, so I am still using those and I still do enjoy. I also have the Gucci matte lipstick in the shade Meet Me in Argentina, which, oh, they met in Argentina, sorry. They're gonna meet me in Berlin. And I say that every time, but that's the shade right there. I do like the Gucci matte lipstick, but I don't necessarily think it's worth the price. So if you were interested in these, I would definitely get them on sale. They remind me a bit of the Kaleidos lip clays. I think the lip clays may be a little more comfortable. I would have to compare it, but I really just love this shade. I have this and Nelly Cherry. Now next from Gucci, I have one of the matte lipsticks. This is the shade Susan Nude, which is actually a very unique lip color in my lipstick collection. It's a cool tone taupe, and these do have a little bit of a fragrance in them, so if you're not into that, you probably want to pass on these. But I love this tone, Susan Nude. I'm actually thinking about getting it in another format, like the satin one, or the they have like one that's like a balm. So I'm thinking about getting that in another shade because I really like it, or in another formulation. And then last but not least, I have 2 more lip products. Let's talk about Sydney Grace. This lip topper came in the March bundle. And this can pretty much go over anything because there's not much pigment to it. So there it is right there. So it's pretty much like your standard lip gloss. It's a little sticky, but it's definitely something I'm going to be wearing. I was happy to try the 2 lip products that I now have from Sydney Grace. I tried one of their like a liquid lip, and then I tried this topper. I like that Sydney Grace is including other products in their bundles aside from eyeshadow, because they're things that don't really come to mind when I think about Sydney Grace. I'm always thinking eyeshadow, so I was happy to try a lip product from them. And last for lips, I have a satin lipstick from Hourglass. I actually have 2 shades, but this is the one I've worn the most. This one is Larch, and that's what it looks like. I like this lipstick. I don't think it's a special lipstick, but I think one of the things that might attract people to the Hourglass lipsticks is that they are vegan. So, you know, the carmine that's used probably a lot in the reds, that, you know, you don't have to worry about that if you're looking for a lipstick that's vegan and you're looking for a red. So I think that was definitely a selling point for the lipsticks. I feel like this is a comfortable lipstick, but it's not anything special. You know, I don't have a lot of, I would say like satin lipsticks that I just hate, you know what I mean? So could I have probably skipped on this one? Yes, I do like the color though, but these are colors that I gravitate to a lot. So I know I probably have several things in my collection, but if you were curious as to whether the lipsticks were nice, I think they are nice. And they're also a nice price as well. Well, not so nice actually. I would say if you want to purchase that, wait for the sale for Sephora. And now we're going to round up with the eyeshadow palettes. First, let's talk about my 3 palettes from Lethal Cosmetics that I created. And as I said, I've worn these so much this year. So this first one has more of a cooler color story. I did pick out, I think, just 1 multi-chrome, 2 multi-chromes for this palette, and I just love it. It just reminds me of something that's gonna look good, like if you're wearing denim. For some reason, that's what it makes me think about. But I really like this. I think I like the Lethal mattes over the shimmers. The shimmers are good, but sometimes I find myself having to use like the Doraline Mixy Medium or something like that, setting spray, just to make them pop a little bit more. But I really, really enjoy designing my own palette. So This one's a really good one. I love this color story together. This one is like an everyday go-to palette for me. And this one also has 2 multi-chromes in it. And I love that all of these shades go together. Like, you're not gonna put anything together in this palette that's just not gonna work. And that's kind of how I designed this palette. So I still need to do a video on it. But I love this palette. Like, this is where it all began. I designed this at the end of 2022. And last, I have this really earthy kind of color story that I designed. And this one is like that black to red multi-chrome shift. I actually used this when I went to Vegas, and I used this as the outer corner, and Ash was like, I can see it, I can see it. So I really liked using that kind of in a untraditional way, because I used it almost as a matte. And then I have just a variety of like browns, kind of the grungy green mustardy shades, and then some shimmers that'll work with a variety of the mattes. So love this one too. Again, I've been using these palettes so much, probably because I designed them, so I feel like I reach for them more. And next I have this little duo here. This is the Mothman palette from Notoriously Morbid. I did finally do a video on this and was really surprised at how much I enjoyed this palette. I think that the packaging of the palette just didn't allow me to really appreciate or even see the color story, but it's very, very nice. I also like that this palette doesn't have any of the flaky shades in it. So this was a really great release from Notoriously Morbid, and I know for people who are into like the Mothman and the legend and the tale of the Mothman, I think this was a really great release. And because Notoriously Morbid is from West Virginia, which is where the Mothman was seen, you know, it just made perfect sense. And this was a perfect release for them. Now, I did pair the Mothman palette with the Viseart Dark Matte palette. I just think these were so complementary of each other. And because the Mothman palette did not have a large selection of mattes, this just allowed you to just have a larger variety of looks that you could make. But I just think these went together perfectly. So I was happy to pull this out because I have some Viseart palettes, but I really don't use them a lot. So this just gave me a chance to really appreciate the Viseart mattes that I know a lot of people say are good. And I want to continue to incorporate my Viseart palettes in my eyeshadow looks, even if it's as a companion palette. Next up, I have the On the Horizon palette, which is the collab between Sydney Grace and Tim Talia. And this is 1 out of 3 palettes. I just randomly brought this one out recently, and I wore it to work. It wasn't anything that I filmed. I just love these palettes. It's one of my favorite collabs that I have in my collection. And I think this is the most like earthy palette of the 3. I just love it. I mean, Sydney Grace quality is impeccable. I love the mattes. Like, these two are just so easy to use together. It has a green matte, it has a navy blue, and I feel like the shimmers correspond really well in this palette. So I was just happy. I'm so happy to be going into my older, quote unquote, older palettes and not have as many palettes to do for videos, because that's when it becomes less fun. And it was just nice saying like, which one do I want to wear today, instead of saying I need to film with this one today. So I really enjoy having less eyeshadow palettes. I'm really enjoying that this year. And next I have the 2 Odin's Eye palettes, and I did not get the Spirit one, but I have the Sea Talk palette here, which is the collab with Odin's Eye and Lauren Mae Beauty. And then I have the Flora Story palette. So this palette, I feel like people may have trouble finding looks. I had talked about in my video how I kind of look at these as 2 separate quads. You have a brown neutral, and then you have like the blue, and then you can kind of use these 2 in the middle to enhance the look in some kind of way. And then of course you can mix any of these up, but when I sat down to do looks with this palette, that's just how I saw it, and that's how I created the looks that I did with the palette. I think that just based on other people that I've talked to and other reviews that I've watched, this formula from Odin's Eye might not be their best. And I really noticed that in the Flora Story palette, so we'll talk about that. This one is a collab with Makeup Just for Fun. I think this color story is going to be a lot easier for people to work with, but these mattes were just super, super, super powdery in this one for whatever reason. So it's not that they didn't perform well, you just needed to make sure that you tapped off your brush, because I did get a lot of fallout when I didn't do that. I just don't remember having to do that with Odin's Eye. And I mean, regardless if the mattes were powdery or not, I think that both of the palettes did perform well. I'm just mentioning the things that I feel like somebody might not like. But both of these palettes were cool. Are they my favorite palettes that I've used this year? No. And they're definitely not my favorite Odin's Eye palettes, but I also don't regret having them in my collection. And last but not least, we are going to end this video with the Nomad Cosmetics Royal Europe palette. And this palette was definitely a surprise for me, because lately the Nomad Cosmetics color stories haven't been speaking to me, so I really didn't know what to expect. Also, with their sneak peeks of the shades, all I saw was like blue, and I was like, oh, another blue palette. Like, I'm not gonna like this. But these jewel tones in this palette are so beautiful, and I really love how this palette is laid out, because you have all your mattes in the top row and then you have these multi-chromes on the bottom row. I think that the mattes all perform very beautifully, as well as the multi-chromes. One of the things I do complain about with Nomad Cosmetics are their shimmers. Like, sometimes they're flaky, sometimes they're a bit ashy, sometimes they're great, and the consistency is different based on the palette. Like for Christmas, they came out with just toppers, and I really didn't like those. One was like a putty. And then in some palettes, the shimmers are just like great foiled shimmers. These multi-chromes I think are nice. However, if you have a large indie collection like the one that I have, and you have shades from Terra Moons, from Cleona, from Divina, you may not find these as shifty, but I think this is a great palette for people who want to try out multi-chromes, as well as for people who don't want to do a whole bunch of searching on an indie website to see which multi-chromes they want. This is great for people who reach for palettes and want to try multi-chromes, because a lot of times, even with me, I have to be very thoughtful about using my singles, because sometimes I forget about them. Sometimes I don't feel like going through them to figure out which one that I want, because I have a lot. Having this in the palette, I just think makes it a lot easier. Again, the layout, the 2 rows of mattes, and then the multi-chromes. But then if you go through the columns, you can actually see that you can put together 5 looks really easily. And I think that was very clever of the brand. This was just an overall nice palette. I do know that the price point was a little bit higher at $57, but I think that including the multi-chromes, and then like with this high quality packaging on this one, I can see why this palette was a little higher. So if this is a palette you were interested in, I think this is going to be permanent, at least for now. I do have a code, which is Frizz Face, which is unaffiliated, and you can get 10% off, which helps. But I think this was a very nice release for Nomad, and I think it's going to bring new customers for their brand. I don't think people were expecting something like this. And because Nomad has been releasing palettes more often, the excitement really hasn't been the same for me, because it's like, oh wait, I feel like they just released something, which was the Verona palette, which I talked about in February's roundup. So this just kind of brought some excitement back to the brand for me that I feel like I lost a little bit. And I'm really happy with this palette. I'm happy to be gifted this palette. And I will say that I probably would have bought this. Some of the other Nomad palettes that I have weren't really my color story, and I know I probably wouldn't have bought those, but I would have bought this one. When I opened it up, I just had no idea what to expect. I was, like I said, expecting a lot of like blues. I was just really taken aback. So also in March, of course, I tried the Sydney Grace eyeshadow March bundle, and it was 3 eyeshadows, a cream shadow, and then a lip topper. So I already talked about the lip topper. Here are the 3 shadows, and you'll see a pop-up of them. They're kind of taupey, antique-y type shades. And then we have this cream shadow in the shade Awkward Silence, which is really, really beautiful. It's a bit duochromatic. It looks kind of taupey, but it's got some green in there, some gold reflex. It's a really unique shade. And I did like the looks that I created, as well as using the lip topper, which I already talked about. I'm definitely going to continue getting the Sydney Grace monthly bundles. They are absolutely worth it to me. And now that they're including products other than eyeshadows, it's kind of like an element of surprise there, but not like the Adept mystery box surprise. That's not the surprise we want. You know what I mean? But I just know I'm getting something good, and I don't mind getting a highlighter here or there, or a lip product here or there in the mystery box. I almost forgot this. This is a Lisa Eldridge eyeshadow, liquid Lorax. This is in the shade Zorza. This is such a great taupe everyday color. You don't know what you're going to put on. You can just put one of these on and blend it out with a brush. It gives you some sparkle. You could do it for day or night and they don't move. That's the color right there. And because I have like 5 of these, this is why I did not purchase any of the Pat McGrath liquid eyeshadows, because, you know, these do have a limited lifespan and I want to just get the use out of the ones that I have. I can't see the quality of the Pat McGrath being that much different than the Lisa Eldridge. So that's why I skipped on Pat. And that is going to be it for this roundup. I know we talked about a ton of products in here, so let me know if you have questions about anything. And I am going to save the fragrance for another video. I have been trying so many samples, and I definitely want to share them with you all and let you know what I'm thinking about fragrances and which ones I like. Thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me for another makeup roundup. I hope this was therapy for you. It always is for me. And until I see you again, make sure you're being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice. Stay safe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.